evening, everyone, and welcome to CSC Philadelphia. And the next installment of Is That Right? Please welcome to the stage the host, Dr. Kanu Pandey.
Namaste, salams, and welcome one and all to Is That Right? A game show where the only way to do science right is to do it wrong first. That's correct. It's a game show. So how many of you have seen a game show before? Show of hands. All of you, great. How many of you have seen an improv show before, a live improv show before? Some of you, and some of you haven't, and that's going to change tonight because this will be an improvised game show. That means that the players of this game show are not just any contestants, they are improvisational comedians. That's right. They will be performing improv comedy over here based on some of your suggestions. So I will be coming to you during the show to get some suggestions. So let's practice that out. So from this section over here, can we hear the first name at the count of 1? 3, 2, 1.
Sarah.
If you look on your driver's license, you'll find...
So all the Sarahs over here, I will coming back to all of you Sarahs. From this section over here, let's hear your favorite color. Think about your favorite color at the count of 1. 3, 2, 1.
Blue.
I heard blue. Good. From this section over here, let's hear the favorite dessert. Let's hear the favorite dessert. Think about it. Good. 3, 2, 1.
Carrot cake.
I heard carrot cake. And from this section over here, this lovely section, let's hear the third law of thermodynamics. 3, 2, 1. Oh wow!
I don't know. We're gonna need a verification on that. Can you say that again? Okay. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I believe that's one of Newton's laws.
That is correct. That's one of Newton's laws. I'm sorry, that wasn't thermodynamics. That's Dave Jadico on sound.
Hello.
They will be keeping score of our game tonight. That means they will be counting the number of scores that each contestant has, and the contestant or the player with the highest score will be winning the coveted award that any budding scientist wants in their life, the Ph.D. That's correct. A preposterously hilarious doctor. That's right. The one with the highest point will be winning this preposterously hilarious Dr. Mortarboard, and that means that every time that we will ask them to explain science, and not just any science, we will be asking them to explain the science of a very special guest scientist who has been kept secret from you and the players alike. Can I get a ooh? Ooh. That's right. That was really good. Where was this the whole time? The players will be asked questions about the science of our very special secret guest scientists, and their identity will be revealed very soon, and we will welcome them on stage. Whenever we ask them questions about the science, we will turn to the scientists to ask them, is that right? And we will be chanting that together. So try that with me. Say, is that right? If you want to say that with an upward inflection, we will say, is that right? But how about a downward inflection? Is that right? You all are very sarcastic. You have an attitude, and I don't like it. That's right, we will be asking the scientists to correct whatever science the players are answering. The players are getting warmed up backstage, and they are ready to play and explain the science to us. And in the meantime, let's get you all warmed up. And to warm up, we will just start with a clap from 0 all the way to 10. So let's do a 0 clap, which is not even touching your hands. That's a 0 clap. Very well, very well. Now start touching your hand. That's a 1 clap. That's a 1 clap. Now how about we make it a 2? How about we double it? Make it 4. That's good, that's good. How about a 5? How about a 7? Maybe an 8? Maybe a 9? That's the Pandey and I will be your host. Please have a seat, players. Well, do you know how the show is played?
Yes.
Do you know what we are talking about today?
No.
No, they do not, because the guest scientist has been kept a secret from you and the players alike. However, we know a few things about our guest scientist. Let's reveal them. Our guest scientist's favorite movie is Dr. Zhivago, which they have watched more than 20 times. Their favorite outdoor activity is to sit on the beach and read apocalyptic fiction. And the controversial opinion they have is that they are not a fan of Bruce Springsteen. They are not, They are a guest. They are not a fan of Bruce Springsteen. Players, what do they study? Each player has to present a theory and hypothesis based on these facts to guess what this scientist studies. We will start with Mary.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Pandey. Thank you, fans. My theory is that due to the depressive nature of Dr. Zhivago and the propensity for apocalyptic fiction, fan fiction, and the obvious misstep of not liking Bruce Springsteen, that they are in fact a doctor of, and they study depression.
The study of depression. Thank you so much, Mary. Jake.
Well, the third clue, that they don't like Bruce Springsteen, that's just a human fact. So I'm only left with two other suggestions. And I'm led pretty quickly that they must be a legal scholar. And based on the fact that they like apocalyptic fiction, I think they study mobile courtrooms. Which is a courtroom that's small and mobile.
Study of mobile courtrooms. Thank you so much, Jay. Sean.
Sure. Obviously, I can deduce that they are not a fan of glory days, which means they are not an archaeologist or historian of any kind. This leads me to feel that they are into future technology, and specifically nanotechnology.
Oh, very cool. The study of nanotechnology. Thank you so much, Sean. And finally, Stephen.
I think this is coded. Let me explain. I think this scientist is just trying to brag about how wealthy they are. They can afford to see a movie 20 times. They can afford to go to the beach. And they don't like to be considered an everyman. Therefore, they have to have a well-paying career. So I have to assume they work with computers. Therefore, they're a computer engineer.
Ah, not a scientist at all, a computer engineer.
Computer science.
First answer was computer engineer. But audiences, are you ready to meet the guest scientist? They have been sitting among you this whole time. Dr. Sarah Bass! Okay. Put that on wherever you want. Welcome to the stage. Do you need a pocket? Okay, wait. Because we have a pocket right here. What?
It's a pocket! Come on, it's a pocket!
Audiences, Dr. Bass! Players, let's review those hypotheses. Starting with Mary.
A doctor of depression.
Thank you. Jake.
Mobile courtrooms.
Thank you. Sean.
Nanotechnology.
Thank you. And Stephen.
Dual degree in computer engineering.
Thank you so much. Audiences, say it with me. Is that right? Let's find out. Dr. Sarah Bass is a professor in the Department of Social and Behavioral Science. in the College of Public Health and the director of the Risk Communication Lab at Temple University. Yes. You have read her expert interviews in Philadelphia Inquirer and WHYY on issues like the COVID vaccine and the Philadelphia water crisis. In March, Dr. Bass has been named the 2021 winner of the American Public Health Association's Everett M. Rogers Award, which is a national honor for outstanding contribution to public health communication. Dr. Bass is also a Temple alum where she got her Ph.D. in public health and M.P.H. in community health. Welcome again, Dr. Bass. For 5 whole points, which of these got the closest answer to social and behavioral sciences?
I guess depression.
That's right, Mary gets 5 points and 1 point each to Stephen. Actually, Stephen gets 2 points for giving 2 answers. 2 points to Stephen, 1 point to Sean, and 1 point to Jay. Can we get a scoring update?
All right, after that first round there, and guessing the doctor's specialty, Mary's got 5 points, Steve with 2, Jake and Sean tied up at 1. Back to you, Dr. Kanu.
Thank you so much. Among the many problems that Dr. Bass and colleagues study, we will be presenting one of those problems in the form of a fill in the blank, and that statement is this. We make thousands of decisions every single day. Unlike consumer decisions like choosing a new throw pillow, decisions about our health are influenced by our blank. Players, you have 30 seconds to answer those questions and write them down on a piece of paper. 30 seconds, and that starts right now. Dr. Bass, did somebody from New Jersey break your heart? What exactly happened?
I'm so sorry. I know it's really not.
No, never apologize. But,
I'm not an everyman, just like man says.
I might even say calling an everyman is gender specific.
I'm not every person.
You're not an every person. So you agree you're not an every person?
I'm not an every person.
Very cool. Was that 30 seconds already? We have like 5 more seconds.
Oh, I can start the music over again if you like. Hey man, I'm just playing the file you sent me.
And that's time! Pants down.
It's only the beginning.
All right. Well, let's figure out the correct answer first. We make thousands of decisions every day. Unlike consumer decisions like choosing a new throw pillow, decisions about our health are influenced by our risk perception. Risk perception is the correct answer. Players, did you get that right?
Yes.
Great. We'll find out now. Let's review the answer, starting with Mary.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. I think my answer is pretty close to risk perception. Having grown up in a family of hypochondriacs, having married one and bred one, I believe that I said it was influenced by our anxiety.
Wow.
Pressure and anxiety.
Welcome to my world.
You okay, Mary?
We will check in with Mary later. Jake.
I want to preface first by saying I don't have this. My second preface, well, no, actually, I'm gonna say it. Are influenced by our mommy issues. I want to post face that I don't have these.
Moving on. Sean.
Yes, I definitely didn't have basically the same answer as Jake. What I wrote was actually an acronym for social wonderments, objections, and wherefores. I wrote SWOW.
No.
Wow.
Can you turn that upside down, please?
I'd rather not.
Just so that we can see what
I
it
mean,
is.
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. SWOW. Thank you so much, Sean. And Stephen.
All right, you're gonna have to go with me on this one. So, we all perceive things differently, right? Perception, like color, for example, right? So, this is what we all agree on is orange, but what I see as orange is not what you may see as orange, right? This is a basic philosophical concept. So the perception of color.
And what's under your hand?
Well, I say couch.
Couch color?
Throw pillows. Makes perfect sense.
Throw pillows and your couch color.
That's couch color. Thank you so much, Stephen.
Thank you.
Let's thank them. Let's thank them for their answers. Dr. Das, I come to you again. For 5 whole points, let's see those answers for the audiences. For the audiences and Dr. Das. Which of those answers is the closest to risk perception?
I think I'm gonna go with mommy issues.
No!
No.
Too late now.
All right, that's 5 points to Jake. I would give 2 points to Mary and 0 points to Stephen and Sean. Then we get a scoring update, please.
All right, after that round, Mary getting 2 more points there. So Mary is now at 7, Jake at 6, Sean at 1, Stephen at 2. Back to you, Dr. Kanu.
So Mary is in the lead.
That is correct because of addition.
Interesting. Not multiplication. That's right. That's right. Mary is in the lead right now, which means for our next game, we will say bye to all of our other players, Jake, Sean, and Stephen. Let's say bye, players. Bye. For Podcast Shuffle. Let's set up the stage for Podcast Shuffle, please. Thank you so much. Well, please have a seat over there, Dr. Bass. And let me explain the game of Dr. Bass. Let me explain the game of Podcast Shuffle as they are setting up the stage. So what happens in this game is that we will see a series of different podcasts in order to understand the concept that we just got the answer for, which is, what is risk perception? We need to understand what is risk perception, how does it influence our decision making, how do we make different decisions about our health on an everyday basis based on risk perception. And Dr. Baz will be explaining that concept to us. But in order to understand that first, we will first see a podcast in a straightforward manner hosted by Mary. And it would be a podcast style interview of Dr. Baz, and they will be trying to understand what is risk perception for 3 minutes. After those 3 minutes are up, Mary will become the expert. Dr. Bass will sit over here. And the new player will become the new host of a podcast where Mary has to explain to them what is risk perception. We will cycle through until we reach the last player. But before we get started, do you have those? Awesome, great. Before we get started, the podcast that we will see after the first one will all be in the style of a podcast that we will get from you all. So from the Sarahs over here, let's try to get a podcast or a style of podcast that you like to listen to on your way to work. What kind of podcast do you try to listen to on your way to work? True crime. We have true crime. Thank you so much. From this section over here, let's see a type of podcast that your mom would listen to.
80s.
Cooking. We heard. We're what?
80s.
Let's get both of them. 80s, and on a separate slip, let's get cooking. Cooking? Okay, great, awesome. From this section over here, something that you like to listen to in the evening, like a podcast or style of podcast. D&D. And what is D&D?
Dungeons and Dragons.
It is not Do Not Disturb. Okay, so Dungeons and Dragons. So we get Dungeons and Dragons, thank you so much. And from this section over here, just anything.
True crime.
Family Matters. Grapefruit.
I'd listen to that podcast.
Okay. Grapefruit. Family Matters.
Is this all on the same one?
No. Family Matters. And then what?
True crime.
True crime?
True crime.
Oh, true crime. You already got true crime.
Good.
Awesome. Okay, great. And did you say gossip? Okay, if we have one more sheet of paper, let's write gossip. And that's all the suggestions that we needed. Thank you so much, everyone. We will start with a straightforward podcast where Mary will try to understand the concept of risk perception from our very own guest scientist, Dr. Bass. Thank you so much for this hat. Mary, are you ready?
I am.
Great. Dr. Bass, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, amazing. Awesome. You have 3 minutes on the clock for this podcast and begin.
Hello and welcome to Mary Knows Nothing, the podcast about the truth. So we have with us Dr. Bass. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am fascinated to learn more about what is risk perception. So could you please tell me what is risk perception as if I have no knowledge of anything?
Absolutely, Mary. Thank you for having me. Risk perception is just how we think about health risk. So if we are doing something that might be risky for us, it's whether or not we think that that's going to cause us something bad to happen to us. And that can be affected by a lot of different things. So for some people, they may lower that risk perception because they have control over the behavior. So anybody who drives a car versus being a passenger in a car, you always feel more in control. You don't think anything's going to happen to you. Right?
Can I ask a quick clarifying question? So is it possible that the risk perception can be affected by, well, what would it be affected by? Could it be affected by, is it sort of a nature or nurture thing? Can it be affected by genetics or by experience?
So it could be any of those things. So there are a lot of things that can heighten risk. So sometimes if it's a brand new thing that we've never seen before, we can have heightened risk perception and think that that's going to happen to us. Or if we've experienced it a lot in our lives, we may lower that risk perception.
So if I wanted to buy a new pair of shoes, but I was afraid to spend the money, where would the risk perception happen in my brain?
Well, buying shoes probably isn't a health decision. Unless it was
Good
going
point.
to cause...
It could cause me happiness, which is mental health.
Well, that's true. So you might then consider that risk perception to be quite low because you think that buying those shoes are going to make you happy.
Interesting.
Although if you think they're going to hurt your feet, you might increase your risk perception.
So there could be an internal conflict with any sort of risk perception.
Yes. And your risk perception might be different depending on what the health decision is.
Is there such a thing as like disproportionate risk perception?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you might have some people who, think that they're going to get HIV from a toilet seat, which is very heightened risk perception, versus someone who thinks that I'm never going to experience something negative even if I smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
And how often during the course of a day might you do this consciously or unconsciously?
You usually do it unconsciously, and it depends how many health decisions you're making. But for some of us, those health decisions are happening on a daily basis and we don't even know it. We make a decision to take the elevator instead of walk up the stairs, or to eat a cheeseburger instead of a salad, right? So those are all different kinds of decisions that we're making on a daily basis that could inevitably affect our health.
Does guilt over not flossing fall in this bucket?
Absolutely.
And that's time! Thank you so much. Let's get the new players from outside. Dr. Bass, please join us back to the position. Dr. Bass, everyone. Thank you. Mary is our new expert. Do we have somebody bringing the new guest? New player?
I don't know if we've notified folks out there. Jimmy, go. That's the wrong way, Tim.
Oh, no.
That's the owner of Comedy Sports. Has no idea how the theater works. No, okay. He's outside in the street right now. He's leading them into helium as we speak.
That's so incredible. Everything is fine. Sean, pick up a suggestion, please.
Sure thing.
And read it for the audiences.
True crime.
True crime, that means you have to host a podcast in the style of true crime and understand the concept of risk perception from our new expert, Mary. Are you ready?
Yes.
And begin.
Hello and welcome, Mary. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
So, this latest grisly murder that everyone is talking about, the latest Reddit theory is that this victim lacked risk perception. Can you explain to us what risk perception is?
Well, that would definitely track if they lacked any risk perception, because what risk perception is your ability to assess whether something is going to be risky to your health or not risky to your health. And then you sort of choose based upon that assessment.
Very simple. So this victim then was walking down the street with their partner and did not assess the risk that they were possibly a serial killer.
True, which would be directly affecting their health, right? You know, it's sort of a different layer of both social and then your actual threat to your health.
Right,
Yeah.
yes, that's very threatening. Serial killers are quite often threats.
Right,
Yes. So how does this manifest as the perceived risk? What changes? What are the markers?
Well, often it happens unconsciously, right? So in the case of this, they may have picked up clues like, paneled van. Or lots of extra skin in his closet. So that could be an unconscious thing that then would affect whether or not you choose to stay with them and risk your own health.
Right, so we're just talking general red flags. Is that what I'm getting?
Sure, but some of it can also be conscious choice.
Ooh, can you elaborate?
Sure, so you could, for example, decide whether or not I think it would be healthy to
date a serial killer?
To maybe serve something without a steak knife while we're eating, so that's a lower risk of right. So maybe soup, because it's harder to be killed with a spoon.
Although, if you remember season 3, a spoon did play a pivotal part in that particular murder.
I don't know that murder, but
oh, you don't listen to the show? Okay.
And that's Thank you so much. Our new expert is Sean. That's our new expert. And keep that applause going for our next guest, Jake Lucas. Okay, yeah, you. Okay, all right. Did you take one or two? One. Okay, great. All right, read out a suggestion for the audiences, please.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. That's right. You have to host a Dungeons and Dragons podcast and understand what is risk perception from our new expert, Sean. You have 2 minutes on the clock. Are you ready?
Yes.
Go.
Hey, thank you so much for coming to this podcast. Please go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm just so thankful that you're coming on today.
Oh, thank you. I am the cleric.
I need your human name.
Oh, sorry. Sean.
Yes, we're in our mom's basement. This is Dice Roll. Alright, so, Cleric, what is risk assessment?
Oh, yes. This is fun, especially for you DMs out there. This is when you come
Not trademarked.
Yes, don't come after us, wizards. of the coast, not actually.
Yeah. Our listeners already know.
Yes. Anyway, so say you're DMing a game, correct? And your party happens upon something like a mimic. A mimic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know who rays are.
Yeah.
Terrible things. And the DM then has to assess the risk to the party and, figure out whether he wants to proceed down that certain hallway and open it up and then kill them all.
Right.
Because that's what DMs do.
Right, is that like a D10 or a D4?
Yeah.
So, like, when we're down the path, like, how do we know if we're doing one or the other?
Oh, sure. There's, it might be an unconscious thing in the players. They're like, oh, I don't know. He hasn't, tried to kill us in 13 seconds. So maybe he's trying to kill us with this box of treasure. But it also could be a conscious thing and something that the players do. Like, do I see any traps that could
Right,
kill
so
us?
it's like important for us to like sense and get in information.
Yes, exactly. And then, you perceive the amount of risk and whether or not you want to continue on with that particular action or line of doing.
Yeah. I'm gonna need a survival check.
Thank you so much, Sean. Give it up for Sean. And Jake is a new expert. Keep it up for going forward. And new host, Stephen. So, Stephen, have a seat.
Hello.
Select a suggestion, any suggestion, and read it out for the audiences.
Grapefruit.
That's right. Stephen, you will be hosting a grapefruit podcast for 2 minutes to understand what is risk perception. And here is the game. You need to understand risk perception as well as possible and then explain it to the audiences and Dr. Bass for 5 points for the entire team of 4 players. That's right, those are the stakes, it's all on you. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, a grapefruit podcast to understand risk perception. You have 2 minutes on the clock and begin.
Welcome back to our relationship podcast. It's not sit true, it's sit trust. Where me and my long-term partner talk about our problems.
Because there are so many.
We've had a lot of challenges over the years, but my biggest challenge with you is your risk perception.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Deanna, our couples therapist, defines risk perception in a really special way. Will you do that for our listening fans?
I would love to. She says that it's when you take a look, like a deep, hard look. It's a look with both eyes. And then you decide if you're loving the person the way they want to be loved or the way that you think they want to be loved. Because that's 2 very different things.
I still love you.
I've never stopped loving you.
Want to go a little bit more into risk perception?
I would love to. If only I could.
Well, I've always thought a little bit more what Dr. Deanna was talking about was more about how we perceive our external world and internalize that.
Yes. She just monologues, frankly. And she's always saying that it's important, it's a timing thing. You gotta go
More of
quick.
it, yeah. She really times us a lot with how much she charges us, am I right? Let's talk about our money issues.
Let's talk about it.
Well, you spend too much.
I did.
And that's done! Sorry to interrupt that
Thank you.
Please put the seats and the mic back. Thank you so much. Keep that applause going for Jake and Steven. Jake and Steven. Steven, please take center stage for the audiences and for Dr. Bass and for 5 points for the entire team. What is risk perception?
Going out on a limb here. Risk perception is the own personal view of what how they perceive risk, what the own individual's calculation is of what they are going to potentially have at stake in a situation.
Wow, thank you so much, Steven. Thank you. to 5, how correctly did Stephen get it?
3.
A 3! That's 3 points for all of them except for Stephen, who gets 1 extra point for taking it home.
Alright, so adding 4 to Stephen's score and 3 to everybody else's score. That brings our scoring update now. Mary has 10, Jake has 9, Stephen has 6, and Sean has 4. That is the score. And back to you, Dr. Kanu.
Thank you so much, and thank you. Give a round of applause to our players. Brilliant round. Now that we have understood the problem that Dr. Bass and their colleagues and the team works on, and what is risk perception, we would try to understand what kind of methods do they use to conduct their scientific research, for which we will enter our next question. To create better health campaigns, Dr. Bass and colleagues used a software technique called blank, which creates a blank that maps how lived experiences and beliefs impact your decision making. That's right, there are 2 blanks here, and both of those blanks have different answers. Players, you have 30 seconds on the clock, and your time begins now. Thank you so much. Dr. Bass, so apocalyptic fiction. Is that because you study risk perception, or because you study risk perception? You study risk perception because you started reading apocalyptic.
It could be both.
But which one is it?
I read apocalyptic fiction because I study risk perception.
Ah, interesting. And does that make you more interested in risk perception? Do those novels give you more insight?
It does. It
Oh.
does. Because what more risk perception did you have than the end of the world?
Oh my God. Pens down. Thank you so much. And let's review the correct answer. To create better health campaigns, Dr. Bass and colleagues used a software technique called perceptual mapping, which creates a 3D model that maps how lived experiences and beliefs impact decision making. Players, did you get that right?
Yes!
I somehow don't believe you. Let's review the answers, starting with Sean.
Sure. So, how does one perceive things? They put it in very organized informational places, right? And then 3D model, well, that's just looking at something one way and then looking at it from a different way. So, what I said, which is totally correct, was that they use a technique called Microsoft Excel, which creates a pivot table. Two different ways.
I am so sorry, my dear colleague. You are mistaken on the technique. So the technique is a very fancy thing called typing, and the output is an Excel document. Very close, Jake.
All right, Jake.
I don't need to preface this time. Because of course the technique is called OOF, and it creates a daddy issue, which then once implanted into the brain can be tracked and mapped to how much they respond. And OOF stands for oof, ouch, father.
Mary.
Dr. Pandey. Obviously perceptual mapping is very similar to how we perceive things, i.e. how we perceive risk, and a 3D model is something tangible, right, that you can hold, that you can look at different things and make different choices and assessments. The software technique is obviously Microsoft Risk. Creates a menu.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. We are not sponsored by Microsoft. Well, Let's figure out, Dr. Bass, which of these answers, let's show these answers to the audiences and Dr. Bass alike. Which of these answers is the closest to perception? So is it Microsoft Excel and pivot table? Is it typing and Excel sheet? Is it oops, ouch, father and daddy issue? Or is it Microsoft risk and menu? Which of these is closest to perceptual mapping and 3D model?
Well, since perceptual mapping does statistical analysis, and Microsoft Excel actually does statistical analysis, I gotta go with you.
Oh my god! I would say, based on that, that's 5 points to Sean. I would give 2 points to Stephen and 1 point to Mary for at least guessing Microsoft. I'm sorry, that's 0 points to you, Jake, and we get a scoring update.
Alright, have fun. And look at that, Sean getting some points there, bringing him up to 9. 5 to Sean, 2 to Stephen, brings him up to 8. 1 to Jake brings Jake up to 10, and none to Mary brings 10. So it's a very close game. Back to you, Stephen. And Stephen and Jake and Mary and Sean, the good doctor, and Dr. Pandey.
Are we in the right seats?
Did I do that right? Did I mess up?
All right, we are moving along. We understood the problem statement. We understood what risk perception is. We understood the methods that are used to understand risk perception and how we make healthy decisions. But what did Dr. Bass and their colleagues actually find in their research? And not so easily, we will find that out in a game called Is That Right? That's right, it's a game within a game of the same name. Do you know how a storybook is? There's a title on the cover, but you look inside, the third or the fourth story will be the same title as the title of the book. Like, that's just like that. Did you understand that? Did you understand that? That's awesome. Well, in this game, we will be presenting 2 statements. One would be the correct finding of Dr. Bass's research, and the other statement would be a misconception, a misunderstanding, a misinformation about the finding. And it is up to the players to interrogate the scientist, to question the scientist for 1 minute each and figure out what is the correct finding. Is it statement A or statement B? So before we do that, let's get Dr. Bass on the stage. Let's players, please help. And let's give them a round of applause as they do it. Please start your seats and place Dr. Bass center stage. Thank you so much. Let's view those statements. Statement A. Tailoring messages based on psychological experiences is just as effective as tailoring messages based on demographics, like age groups or gender groups for health campaigns. And statement B is saying that tailoring messages based on psychological experiences as opposed to demographics is a more effective health campaign strategy. So we are comparing 2 different types of health campaign strategies. One that is based on psychological experiences and the other that is based on the demographic group. Statement A is saying that both of them are just as effective. That's what they were able to find. And statement B is saying that what they were able to find was that psychological experiences were better than demographics. Which one of these is true? Each player will have 1 minute, that is 60 seconds each, to ask questions to our scientists and figure out which of these statements is correct. Starting with Mary.
Hi. Little lived experience here. So with my first kid, the first time they fell down, I was terrified and thought that they should call child services. With my second kid, and then further on down the line, I'd hear a thud upstairs, and I'd be like, oh God. So in terms of demographics like age and gender groups and psychology, how did that risk perception change over the years?
Your psychological experiences with your children and the way that they were growing up made your risk perception less because you learned from the first one.
Okay, so that's sort of stop bothering me with your pain developed over the process of being a parent. Yes. Now, if that had been the case, so that had nothing to do with how I was brought up or the fact that I'm a woman.
Well, it could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
Okay, so it could be. That's very crafty. You didn't fall into my trap.
And that's done! Thank you so much, Mary. Astute.
I'm a
Jake?
mom, I'm a mom too. I can admit.
To the mom! Talking about moms and mommies.
Wow.
Dave, give yourself -1.
I gotta do more math.
Let's bring up the stage. Jake, you have 1 minute. 1 minute.
Dr. Bass,
Yes.
is that French? Do you smoke? Okay, tailoring. How well does it fit?
Well, it depends how you create those messages as to how well they fit.
How would you fit me?
It would depend on you and your experiences as to how you would do that.
Dr. Bass. Okay, let's get back to the question. So, what exactly makes a demographic?
That would be ways to describe you by your age or where you're from, your gender, those kinds of things.
Right. And that's more or less important.
You cannot ask that, I'm sorry. Next question.
I don't know, what do you think?
We don't have enough time, Dr. Bass.
And that's time! Thank you so much, Jake. Let's bring to stage Stephen! You have 1 minute on the clock. Begin.
Dr. Bass, would you agree that both of these sentences are fairly long? So let's talk about the first word of both of them. But let's talk about Taylor Swift. Can you describe the concept of demographics, as in the demographics of Taylor Swift audiences?
I'm not sure.
As in, who would be the typical demographic of Taylor Swift?
Well, it depends who likes Taylor Swift. Those would be her demographic.
Excellent. And who would experience Taylor Swift?
Someone who likes her.
Interesting. There's an elephant
I can
balloon
evade
in the
all day long.
Great. Let's shift topics a little bit. Let's go with the last words of the sentence. Strategy and campaigns. What's Taylor Swift's strategy for campaigning for so much money?
She is campaigning. She's tailoring to her audience to make a lot of money.
Has this been 1 minute yet?
That's time! We learned nothing. Thank you so much. Sean, you have 1 minute on the clock. And begin.
Dr. Bass,
Yes,
could you
Sean.
give an example of one of these health campaigns, as they are so called?
This is your brain on drugs.
No, this is an improv. I understand that it feels like that quite often at things like this. I'm kidding, of course. I understand what you're saying. So anti-drug campaigns is what you're saying. Would be an example.
Could be, yes.
Okay, so you're saying basically, if B is correct, and I believe it may be, you're saying essentially that nurture outweighs nature. Wouldn't you say that's correct?
I think both are important in development.
Just like every other campaign I've ever heard, you're hedging. How would one tailor a message to, say, a man who just turned 38 and is, A graphic designer, maybe. And likes movies. How would one tailor a message?
Depends what kind of message it was.
Let's say happiness.
And that's time! Yeah, well, let's all thank Dr. Bass and bring them back to just one moment, hold on right over there. We take a picture with Dr. Bass and the players. Give them a round of applause. Amazing, awesome. Well, have a seat back over here. Thank you so much for explaining those questions truthfully, honestly, and beautifully. And thank you to our players for playing. Well, let's review the answers that the players have come up with based on their interrogation, starting with Mary.
I have to thank Dr. Kreider for defining health campaign. And I'm going to have to say that based on my general anxiety as a parent, that I think answer B is correct because I cry at a lot of commercials.
Oh. Crying at commercials, very relatable. B, thank you. Jake.
Like every test I've ever taken, I'm gonna go with A.
Oh, wow. Wait a second. Like every test you have taken, you have chosen option A, or did you get a grade A?
I have a bachelor's degree, and I will take no further questions.
Stephen.
I actually have a doctorate, but it doesn't show. So I'll give myself a B and go with B.
Great, thank you. And Sean?
Well, I have a BA, so I'm very confused. I'm gonna do what I do in all campaigns, pick the one that's kind of closest to me because I'm lazy. So B it is.
B, thank you so much. We got a B, an A, a B, and a B. Let's find out the correct answer. It's B! That's right, that's 5 points for Mary, 5 points for Stephen, 5 points for Sean, and 0 points for Jake. I'm so sorry. Can you get a scoring update, please?
Absolutely. So that brings our score. Jake has 10, and Stephen has 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Mary has 15, and Sean has 14. It's a very close game. Mary in the lead. Back to you, Dr.
Wow.
Kanu.
Very close game over here. And so we went through the problem statement.
Oh, and I have -1. I forgot to point that out. It's a science show. I wanted to be accurate.
Thank you so much.
Back to you, Dr. Kanu.
We understood risk perception, we understood the problem statement, we understood that you use perceptual mapping and the 3D modeling, and what you found was that psychological measures sometimes work better than demographic measures. But to understand how perceptual mapping helps us get there, let's give the stage to Dr. Bass in the next segment called Conference Talk. Players, please find a seat in the audience. And Dr. Bass, you can use the spot over here, which is well lit. Dave over here will be helping you change the slides. Everyone, Dr. Bass.
It's kind of hard to do anything after that, but I'm happy to try. Okay, first slide. So how many people bought something today? All right, so most of us don't really think about what we bought or why we bought it. But if we think about it, next slide, if it's a health decision, that health decision can be really more problematic or harder to think about. Next slide. One of those issues is risk perception, which we already heard all about, and I don't need to go into. Next one is something that goes with risk perception called optimism bias. So this is us thinking, oh, something bad will never happen to me. And so especially if we are in control of things, we tend to be more optimistic about our chances. So even if we are smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day, we think that we're not going to have a heart attack, right? The third thing are these psychological issues. So we call these psychographics. So instead of demographics, they are psychographics. And these are usually experiences that people have that might make decision making about their health different. So it might be that they have higher levels of medical mistrust, let's say. And because they have had bad experiences with the healthcare system, they may make certain kinds of health decisions that they wouldn't if they didn't have that medical mistrust. So those psychographics are important. Next. So my question as a scientist has been, can I take the methods that we get people to buy a Coke, next, and can we get them to buy a colonoscopy? All of us who have had a colonoscopy in this room knows that's exactly what you look like when you have one. Okay, next. So what I've done is try to take from the world of commercial marketing and apply those types of techniques to understanding some of these issues like psychographics and how we interact with the world, and whether or not those can help us create messages that will make people think about their health differently. Next. So one of those things is called segmentation. So segmentation is when we take a group of people and we separate them apart. We put them into segments. Often we do this because of psychographics. You could do it by demographics. Okay, next one. The other thing is perceptual mapping. So perceptual mapping is it's called multidimensional scaling process. It's a type of statistical analysis. And what it does is it takes simple survey data and put it into a 3D method. So next, what you'll have is a group that sits in a 3-dimensional space. And then next, you'll have a decision that you're interested in having them do. And then you'll have all of these different variables that might go into that particular decision. And that allows us to kind of think about how that issue is related to everything else and what you might be able to focus on in a message campaign. Next. We also then do what's called vector modeling. And so this is kind of like a physics model within this 3-dimensional space. It's what can we push and pull against to take that group of people and move them towards that decision that we're interested in. And that actually becomes our message strategy that we then put into some type of campaign or intervention. So I'm going to give you a quick example of this. This is a study that has been done with transgender women who are at high risk for HIV. They're 34 times more likely to have HIV, but much less likely to be on HIV prevention medication called PrEP. And so what we did was we surveyed a group of transgender women here in Philadelphia and in San Francisco. And then we did segmentation, where we looked at a psychographic process called patient self-advocacy. So patient self-advocacy is just the idea that, how often are you able to advocate for yourself in a medical system? And for trans women, that might be low, especially if they have a lot of stigma because of their transgender, and they've had bad experiences maybe out in the community or in the healthcare system. So we did segmentation and we looked at people who had low and high self-advocacy. Self-advocacy.
I'm sorry.
Not done yet!
I know, I'm sorry.
Almost. So then we did perceptual mapping and vector message modeling. So this shows you what the messages might be for someone who has high self-advocacy skills, who can advocate for themselves, and which messages may be important to get them to think about taking PrEP. And the next one is the perceptual map around using PrEP for people who have low self-advocacy. And so then what we do is we look at this and say, what's our message strategy? Do we need to have it be completely different for these groups? Or can we kind of combine them into one type of sets of messages that we can integrate? Then what we did was actually create messages. So this is a campaign that we're in the process of doing now using Instagram, and we're taking these kinds of things. So this is a comic book, and then the last page is that. And so that's how we integrate commercial marketing into health decision making. Thank you.
Open for questions. We are open for questions. Do we have have any questions about anything that we talked about today for Dr. Bass? Anybody at all? Any questions? Yes, yes.
Toxoplasma, the parasite that lowers risk perception, is that encountered in your
Risk perception for, I'm sorry, say it again.
risk perception at all? 80% of motorcyclists in emergency rooms were found to be infected. And it's the thing with the old cat lady.
Yeah, I mean, risk perception is one of those things that's very individual, right? So for some people, they may experience it in a different way. But if you're a motorcycle driver, you probably have pretty high risk anyway, right? You're doing things that are going to be risky, and you may consider yourself to be safe, even if you're not.
Great, thank you. Do we have another question from the audiences? Any question for Dr. Bass? Yes.
So thinking about how anxiety and risk perception go hand in hand, what do you, or if you have any recommendations in general of when someone has high anxiety about those things and so their risk perception is disproportionate to the thing that they're worried about?
Wow. Yeah, so that actually happens all the time. So think about all of us at the beginning of COVID, right? Very high anxiety because this was something that was brand new to us. And so part of that messaging is just trying to understand where the anxiety is coming from and trying to address it as much as you can to try and bring that anxiety down so that you can kind of think about what that risk is in a proportion to what is actually problematic for you.
Awesome. Let's get one more question from the audiences. Yes, you.
I have a comment, not a question.
That's the name of the last game. I have a comment, not a question. Have you been to a scientific conference? Let's bring the players to the stage. Have you been to a scientific conference? Of course you have, because after a conference talk, when the forum is open for questions, scientists ask comments, not questions. So that's what we will be doing over here. We will be starting with a comment, not a question, by Stephen Cole over here. And they will be presenting comments, not a question, about the research that Dr. Bass just presented to us. So Dr. Bass, you can have a seat over there. Let's congratulate Dr. Bass again for the amazing research. We will be hearing comments, not a question, from all of our players. Whenever somebody says, I have a comment, not a question, everybody else has to shut up and sit down, and they will present their comment, not a question, and take the front stage. The last person standing there at the end of 4 minutes will get 5 points. It's a last chance round. Stephen, you had a comment, not a question?
Yes, I have a comment, not a question. I did buy something today, and that was fried chicken. I would make the argument that that was also a health decision. That's right, it was a delicious health decision, but it was a health decision nonetheless. But when I needed to make that decision, and my tummy was grumbly at, yes, 4:30 this afternoon when I bought that fried chicken, I am proud of that decision
I have a
that
comment,
I made.
not a question. Oh, thank you. I wish that I had the level of risk perception that my colleague did, because I now would like some fried chicken. And I think that it is important to embrace the things that we do not let ourselves have. For instance, instead of that, I had riced cauliflower and shredded carrots and a veggie burger mushed up. It was O.
I have a comment, not a question. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Now, what was interesting to me was the discussion of psychographics, and as you may have deduced, if you're smart out there, I'm a graphic designer, and I've made some psychographics. Let me tell you.
Comment, not a question. If you're smart enough out there, you may have deduced that I am a 3D model.
Not a question. Yeah, you leave the stage, you cede the stage, buddy. We all know the rules. Anyway, this whole risk perception thing is very interesting.
I have a comment, not a question. If
this whole thing worked, this whole the graphics and the risk perception, then why am I not flossing more? And by that question, I mean I don't want to floss. Okay? Evolutionarily, that bone should be permanent.
I have a
Why
comment,
did I have
not
little...
a question. Evolutionary is not a word.
I have a comment, not a question. I want to go back to that fried chicken I was having earlier, and let's talk about it in the context of psychographics. Now, when I think of a picture of chicken,
1 minute.
it drives me absolutely psycho.
Popeyes has some really good graphic design, actually. Their use of orange is.
I have a comment, not a question. If there was a comic book about fried chicken, I would buy it and I would read it. I would read everything in the series.
I have a comment, not a question. I love Popeyes, but the Popeyes local to me has a driveway, like a thing, but it's right next to the road. So every time I want to get chicken, I have to risk my life.
Now all I'm thinking about is the colonoscopy I need.
I have a comment, not a question. That's a good thing that you're thinking about your colonoscopy because you should definitely get it because it's the best sleep you're ever going to get.
Question. We should be thinking about our own colonoscopies. I, however, am thinking about Steven's colonoscopy, and that is not.
I have a comment, not a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's the worst night's sleep you're ever gonna have thinking about my colonoscopy.
I have a comment, not a question. I agree.
And that's done! Brothers, 5 points to Mary, and we will count the points in just a moment. But before that, I would like to give a round of applause to all of you for coming out for a night of live comedy, of live theater. It's a Friday night we'll be doing typical time when you came out to see a live game show and learn something about science. And let's give a huge round of applause, and if you can, a standing ovation for Dr. Thank you so much. Points are being calculated right now. That means we will soon find out who won the title of a preposterously hilarious doctor. So if you would join me on stage and carry this crown that you will be crowning the winner with. Do we have the final score?
We do indeed.
Everyone on their feet. And a
It's
drum
now
roll,
the time for
please.
that final score. It is indeed. All right, yeah. All right, and also I do need to say this really quick. If you've never been to this space before, actually stop drumming for a second. This is CSC Philadelphia. You saw all the slides. Come back and see Comedy Sports on Saturday nights. After this show is a show called DTF. It's a sex talk show. It's awesome. So it's at 10 o'clock. And we have the Blue Show, the final Friday of every. Anyway, go to our website and check it all out and come back and see shows here. Now, drum roll on your laps. All right, that was a really rousing last round, but we all know that Mary got those final 5 points, and when you add it all up, and actually it would have been a shame because if Jake had gotten those 5 points, then there would have been a tie, but Jake did not, Mary did, so that means that Mary is tonight's
Although my degree is in theater, it actually is a Bachelor of Science in Speech, so this makes a lot of sense. So thank you, Northwestern. I'd like to thank my husband, who didn't know how to get out of the theater. Ken graduate. But most of all, I would like to thank the unbelievable Dr. Bass for being here today.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Tonight's show of Is That Right was brought to you by Sean Crider, by Stephen Cole,